Good morning. I feel like I look like I just woke up. Do I look like I just woke up? No, I didn't just wake up, but I look like it's morning time, I feel like. Hope everybody is going to have a great day today. A nice, juicy, meaty day. Fix this. Let's see. Today on Real Talk, we have another special guest. I am super excited. Super excited. Today. I just love Emily so much. Here she comes. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. I wish I could jump through and hug you. I know. I have been waiting for this one. So excited to talk to you. We've talked before, but I could cry. I'm so excited.
Yes, and you are my anti-aging friend. Oh my gosh.
Thanks.
That last post about anti-aging, I was just like, yes.
Yeah, that's really how I feel. I mean, I feel so sorry for people that don't know, like at the grocery store mainly, well, and
Yeah.
everywhere else. It just breaks my heart. And it's taken a lot of healing for me to get to the point where I can say I feel like I'm aging backwards. And I wish I could tell everybody, friends, family, people at the grocery store, I feel like it's too simple. Like, like one of my favorite lines for a movie, and I don't know why, but you've seen National Treasure, right?
Yes.
Have you seen with Nicolas Cage? One of my favorite lines of any movie ever is at the very end when he sees the place to get into the actual room where the treasure room, he sees the place for the pipe and he says, could it really be that simple? And he reaches in, and that's how I feel about this. Like, could it really be that simple? Could the healing, could the health, could the mental clarity, could all of it really be that simple? And I think that it is. So anyway,
I
but
agree.
I know. So I wanted to talk to you because I think that the mental side of all of this is not talked about enough. I also feel like the eating disorder side, which is also mental, is not talked about enough. I feel like we should be spreading the word about everything, but also about those things, like mainly. I think that the mental health aspect of life and of the carnivore diet just is not talked about enough. And so that's why I wanted to get together with you and have a conversation about these things, because I think that the eating disorder and disordered eating side does kind of go along with where you come from, because it's all mental. And so I wanted to talk to you about that. I wanted to hear for everybody to hear about your journey and how this started for you. So you do it. You were the average American with your weight and health and mental issues, basically.
Yes, absolutely. And I really I I got to be real honest with you. I wanted to keep it all a secret. I didn't want to tell anybody because I was a mental health professional. I was practicing as a therapist. And so when you think about that, you're like, okay, great. Now you figured it out. Now you're not mentally ill anymore. Shut up. Don't tell anyone.
Right.
And I was like, okay, now I got my little secret and I'm going to go about my happy life and I'm going to be this, successful therapist. And then I went back to my practice and quickly realized that I don't fit here anymore, because I would have my clients sitting across from me telling me about their depression, their anxiety, their eating disorder, their, anger management, like all of these things. And I would have to sit there with my hands behind my back, like, I know what could help you, but I can't tell you, because insurance panels and licensing board did not want me talking about food. They wanted me to diagnose that client and then have a treatment plan and execute the treatment plan. And it never gave me an option in my computer to talk about food. Like there's all these pull down menus of diagnoses and all of these treatment plans and treatment, techniques and methods. Not once did it say, talk to them about food.
Crazy. That's crazy, because when you go to the mechanic, they want to know, are you putting the right gas in the car? When you take your dog to the vet, they want to know, what are you feeding them? But for humans, it doesn't even enter the picture. And that is insane to me.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I quickly realized, number one, I don't fit in that model. And thankfully, I was able to just not care about the letters behind my name. And I just said, you know what? It was time for my renewal for my license. And I was just like, no, thank you. I'm good. Call me a coach. Just call me Emily. I don't need letters behind my name. I already have enough letters in my name. We're good.
Right.
And I said, call me a coach and I'll just do self-pay so I don't have to answer to insurance companies.
Yeah.
And it was very difficult for me at first to speak up and to say, I had mental illness. I had debilitating mental illness. I had to quit working for 6 months. That's how bad my mental illness was. I essentially was homeless. I had to move in with my mom at 40 years old. And it was just like, what is this reality? Like, what is happening? And then whenever it all resolved, and then I became a coach. I was just like, thank you, God. Now I can just, I have nothing hindering me. I was able to just freely talk about my experience and to share with people my experience. And then it started multiplying. And then hundreds of people just from hearing my videos and then are just seeing my posts. They tried what I tried and they resolved their mental illness. And I was just like, okay, this is what, it's repeatable. Like,
Right.
what's going on here?
Yeah.
And then that's whenever I was just like, all right, I have to talk about this. I have to talk about this. And so I haven't shut up.
Yeah, and I think that's amazing and wonderful. And, we've talked about this, but I started Carnivore because of a post-COVID issue where things taste and smell rotten, and many, many things still taste and smell rotten. I actually just recently in the last month, got around the hot dog issue because hot dogs have had that same awful COVID smell. So I am still healing. And now I can't stop thinking about hot dogs. And we went to a family gathering the other day, and I told my husband, never in my adult life have we been on the way to a family gathering and I have been praying on the way there that they have hot dogs. Like, because normally like you would stay away from the hot dogs, right? And I mean, if I had to eat a hot dog not knowing if it was 100% beef, I would if it was the only thing, for me to eat. Turns out they were having chili and cornbread only. And so I had a bowl of shredded cheese at the party. But anyway, on the way home, I was saying to my husband, it's really funny how things keep changing. Like, I've never been on my way somewhere hoping that they have hot dogs, because a hot dog is a nasty food typically, you know what I mean? Like, nobody, like, if you watch what you eat, you don't eat hot dogs, you know what I mean? And they're so processed and so yucky. But we buy 100% beef hot dogs. And lately, that's like all I want. Like, I woke up this morning, I just had 2 hot dogs with a little bit of mustard, and I don't even I'm not even a mustard person. I've eaten mustard maybe twice in my life. But anyway, so I'm still healing. But when I started this because of my post-COVID issue, I did not expect the healing that I got. And I had watched Michaela Peterson, and I had seen some of your stuff, and I had seen Kelly Hogan stuff, but I did not expect the mental healing that I got from it, from my eating disorders, my binge eating. I was bulimic for years ago. And then it continued into just distorted eating where I would eat and eat and eat, binge eat. And then I would punish myself by not eating for a couple of days. And I mean, it was just, I was basically miserable I was on a diet for 35 or 40 years. I bought my first diet pills when I was 12, and I didn't know that it was fixable for me. And I didn't really know that it was mental. When you're in that binging and the disordered eating, you think it's the only thing you can control, but really it's controlling you. But not anymore, because now I am in control for the first time ever. And I think it just happened. I didn't do it on purpose. And that's the miraculous part, is that it just happened. And I was probably 6 months in before I realized I was better. Like, I wasn't doing this anymore. I had no need to. And at that point, I was even still gaining weight, which is a whole nother, issue. But I was still gaining weight at that point, but yet I was healed mentally from all of those disorders. And so I think that's something that we need to talk about, is that it's not just about healing issues with your body like autoimmune issues, which it totally does. It's not just about the losing weight and the body recomp, which it totally does. But it's also about what happens in here and our neurotransmitters and the way our body talks to our brain and the way our brain talks to us and the things that we say to ourselves and the things we do to ourselves and nourishing our bodies. And so much of that is so important. So let's talk about your, because you did lose a lot of weight, and the weight loss came before or after all of this. And real quick, if you guys have questions, put them in the little bubble with the question mark down at the bottom so we can see them, but we're totally taking questions here. So if you have any questions about me or about Emily or about the carnivore diet, feel free to ask. So let's talk about that journey for you, Emily, and how that happened.
Yeah, I honestly didn't want to lose weight. And I know that that's not really a popular thing to say in this space because everyone wants to lose weight.
They do.
Oh my gosh, they are obsessed with it. And I get it. I mean, there were moments that I was like, oh, this is uncomfortable carrying around this big old meat suit. You know, like it was, and my knees hurt. My brain was foggy. Like there were so many things wrong, but it was just my normal. And I was told by the doctors, oh, well, you're just getting old. You know, this is just what happens. Cause I couldn't, I had no heat. I had heat intolerance. So I was basically hot all the time. Like everybody in the office would be in a meeting and everyone in the room was fine. And with the temperature, obviously. And I would be sitting there like with a fan, like in my face, like, oh, well, I think on that part, what we need to do, like with a fan in my face. And it was the only way I could, like, I literally felt like the walls were closing in on me if I didn't have air in my face. That's not okay. And I went to the doctors and they were like, oh, well, you know, you're just getting old. And I was chocked full of inflammation. And so quickly, whenever I went to the carnivore way of eating, that inflammation just like left my body. And I dropped weight quick. So I went from 250, 260. I don't really know. I wasn't weighing myself. At the doctors, it was, I think the highest we have recorded is 250, but I know I went up. I know I hit 260 a couple of times. And then now 130. So, just amazing, what it's done. And it's been this February, it'll be 4 years. So it's stayed off. So it's possible.
Yeah. And it does. Like, that's the thing is that like people will say to me, like I had my teeth cleaned the other day and I was talking to the lady about it and it came up because I've lost my teeth a lot now. Like she was like, oh, your teeth look so good. I said, well, I have to take extra good care of them now because I always have meat stuck between my teeth. I keep dental floss in the car. I keep it in my purse. She was like, why do you always have meat stuck in your teeth? So I started telling her. And inevitably the conversation always goes with people. I did keto once, or I did low carb once and I lost 100 pounds, or I lost 50 pounds or 20 pounds. But of course I didn't keep it off. Or as soon as I went back to eating normal foods, it came back on. And I think the key for people, and I don't know if you saw my post about this, but I feel like I'm not on the carnivore diet anymore. I am a carnivore. This is who I am. So I no longer walk through the kitchen and grab a chip out of a bowl, you know, when there's chips on the counter or at a party. There is zero chance that I'm picking up a potato chip out of a bowl at a birthday party or a family gathering. There's zero chance because I'm not that person anymore. I'm not the person that walks through and grabs a handful of chips or a chip out of the bowl. That's just not who I am. And so I think people do something like this and they feel like it's extreme and they do it as a means to an end and then they go right back. And I've been there and I've done that over the years. I've been on every diet you can think of and I have sabotaged it every single time. 5 pounds from my goal, 10 pounds from my goal. I think, well, it's okay. I can have, I can go to the Mexican restaurant and eat all the chips I want today because I did just lose 10 pounds eating the way that I'm eating now. So I can just go right back. And that few pounds I gained from the dinner, I'll get it right back off. But you can't go into this kind of a diet or this kind of a lifestyle and say, I'm just going to do it for a little while, because if you always do what you always did, you always get what you always got. Mm-hmm. And so if you come out of a diet like this and go back to eating processed foods and carbohydrates, and you go back to eating breads and potatoes and French fries, you're just going to gain the weight back because that's how you got that weight to begin with.
Well,
Even on
and
a healthy diet, a healthy standard American diet, you're going to gain the weight back.
yeah, and I think the key is that people don't know what good feels like.
Right.
And so they attribute that good to, I've been a good girl, and so I deserve to go to the Mexican restaurant and have an entire basket of chips
Two
because
baskets.
it feels good. Yeah, two
Yeah.
baskets because it feels good.
Mm-hmm.
And my definition of good changed
Yes.
because I was just like, oh, no, that's a lie.
It is
That's a
total lie.
lie. Those two baskets of chips are a lie. This is good. This is what good
Yes.
feels like. I wake up in the morning feeling like I had two baskets of chips. Better, 10 times better than I had
Right.
two baskets of
Yes.
chips. I have
Yes.
joy that comes from like a wellspring from deep within who I am, that it doesn't stop and it keeps
Yeah.
getting better the better and better that I eat. And so I
Yes.
choose that over
Yeah.
chips any day.
Yeah, absolutely. And Chrissy, Wealth of Health, says also people don't realize how sick they actually are because they've been like that for so long. And that's true. And in the beginning, when I did go off for a day or two, I remember waking up and thinking, man, is this what I used to feel like every day? And this is what other people feel like every day. And you just don't know it because I'm almost 50 and you wake up in the morning and you think, oh, my knee hurts again, or my back hurts again, or whatever. That's just getting old. And that is what I thought until I started carnivore. And now I realize that it's not that I was getting old. It's that I was eating what I thought was a healthy standard American diet, including lots and lots, 75% of my plate was vegetables. And I was miserable.
And we thought that we were eating what we deserved.
I did.
I
Yes.
deserve a basket of chips.
Yes.
No, you deserve to feel good.
Yes.
You deserve to have food freedom where
Yes.
you go to a family gathering and you eat a bowl of cheese and you're satisfied and you're good, and you eat a hot dog and you're happy.
Yeah.
Not, oh my gosh, I went to this family reunion and I had
Yeah.
paid for it for 2 weeks, and then I went on a downward
Yes.
spiral for a month, and then,
Yeah.
and now I'm back,
Yeah. This is my all beef hot dog smile. Like, I feel really good. Hot dogs for breakfast. I mean, I didn't eat hot dogs for years, but being able to have an all beef hot dog because I woke up craving it this morning is that food freedom. Right before I came down, I was actually a minute late because I was getting the beef bacon out of the oven. Like, I am happy all the time.
Yes.
Almost all the time. But you know what I mean? Like,
yes.
I just feel so good all the time. Yeah, we deserve a massage and a vacation. Yes, that is absolutely true. Okay, we have a question. Emily, is your family carnivore too, or are they still thinking that you're crazy?
They have definitely shifted. I don't talk about them very often individually, just because my life's an open book, but not necessarily theirs. But I will say in general that they have shifted significantly, and that they are recognizing that there's something here. And it went from, oh my gosh, to wait, what, hey, what should I eat? Like, so they still are in that, transition phase. They're still there, getting there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. My family is more high fat and high protein than carb lately. Most of them anyway. My husband is mostly carnivore, but I'm kind of the same way. I don't talk about it a whole lot. Just because I feel like my life is an open book, but they didn't sign up for this. They do think that my kids do think I'm a little bit nuts. We've turned a couple of them off of meat because we eat so much of it. I think they'll come back around. They do eat other things though. Like they'll eat, they do eat some processed meat. So they'll eat pepperoni, and they're like insistent on always having a bag of hot dogs in their refrigerator now. They're really good in the air fryer. They crisp up like you grilled them. So they don't eat them, they eat them a couple of times a week or something like that. But I hardly ever make dinner anymore because we make like bacon or beef bacon for breakfast, and then we make something for lunch, and then we're eating leftovers for dinner. And so they just kind of do their own thing for dinner, which is fine. The two that are here the most are 14 and 16. The other two are, they still live at home, but they're out, they're busy a lot. They're adults. And so they just kind of do their own thing typically. But I mostly keep meat and cheese and stuff like that in the house for them. And as long as they're using lots of heavy whipping cream on their coffee and not shying away from the fat, I'm a happy mom. I don't want them to shy away from the fat like I did for years. what kind of beef bacon do I eat and where do I get it? I get it from a local butcher. So if you have a local butcher and you just go in there and ask them, they will be able to make you beef bacon. It's very good. It takes about 10 days to cure. They cure it just like pork bacon. It does taste a lot different, but typically it is from really thin slices of brisket. And then it's cured just like a pork bacon, and it's delicious. And my whole family loves it. So I buy it and I get 10 or 12 pounds at a time. And then I wait like 2 weeks and then I go back in and place another order. So we basically get 10 or 12 pounds a month of the beef bacon. And it's about the same cost as pork bacon. So I figure if somebody eats a pound of beef bacon for breakfast, it's like eating a ribeye, as far as cost goes. So I don't really worry about it as far as the cost, because I just look at it like it's a meal. So it works out good for us. So somebody is asking, how long did it take to start losing weight? I've been doing this for 4 days and haven't lost any. Well,
Yeah.
Well,
I think that it's really hard to use my example because my reaction wasn't typical, but what I was eating was like entire pizzas by myself, cartons of ice cream. So I wasn't even like eating vegetables. Like I was totally eating like chips and soda and wine and cookie dough, and like I wasn't eating good stuff. I wish I had a picture of it for you guys.
yeah.
Pies, cakes, donuts. Like I wasn't eating anything good. And so whenever I switched to carnivore, my body was just like,
Whoa.
what? Like, okay. And so took that, good 30 to 45 days for me to go through that transition. And it was hell. It was not fun. Going from the standard American diet. And I've noticed that everybody's body does different. Some people, it gets worse before it gets better. And some people gain weight before they lose. Yep. And I think it's important to allow your body to heal and to not have weight loss be your goal. Your body knows. Your body hears you. Your body hears you when you're just like on the scale every day going, I'm mad at you. You didn't lose a pound today. I'm mad at you. You didn't lose a pound. Like it hears you, like, shh, like just say, love your body. Say, I love you. I'm so thankful that you kept me alive for this many years. I'm so thankful that I have cancer cells in me and you're not letting it grow. I'm so grateful that I don't have worse health and that I don't weigh more than I do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then it will start to let go and go, oh, we're friends. Oh, okay, we're on the same team. And your body will start to let go of the weight. You got to stop freaking out.
Yeah, absolutely. And not to scare you, but I gained weight in the beginning. For the first 8 months, I gained 18 pounds, close to 20 pounds. And then I had to basically, like reverse diets for about 4 months. I had to eat 2,000, 2,200, 2,300 calories for 4 months. So my body would trust me and it would believe me that I was not on a diet anymore and that I was not going to starve it anymore. And it took me a long time to figure it out and to realize what was wrong and figure out how to fix it. So don't be discouraged that you haven't lost weight in 4 days. 4 days is not very long, honestly. Your body is healing. A lot of people do lose water weight in the beginning. A lot of people start losing weight and then just continue to lose weight. Sometimes it's dandelion and roses, and sometimes it's poopy, because it was very poopy for me. But it turns out that what I was doing was I was under eating. And so I don't ever recommend somebody count calories this early on. I say eat 3 meals a day, be satisfied, and don't go hungry. Don't fast the first 30 or 60 days. People jump in and they think fasting goes right along with carnivore, and it can, but not in the beginning. Especially if you come from a history of chronic dieting or under eating, you need to heal your body first. So if you went from like Weight Watchers to this, which is what I did, except I was doing Weight Watchers and I was pretty strict except for when I wasn't. And so the weekend that I switched to carnivore, I ate 20 cupcakes in 36 hours. So I feel you on the binging, Emily. I mean, that was my breaking point, was I can't do this anymore. And I haven't had a cupcake since. And so I think you have to give yourself the healing time first. Like I said, not everybody loses right away, but don't let that discourage you. You need a good 30 days of eating and nourishing your body before you worry about it. But after that point, if you're not losing, then it's okay to count your calories and see. I was eating about 800 or 900 calories a day. Nobody eats 800 or 900 calories a day and is healthy. So that was my mistake. Once I realized what I was eating, I raised it.
I eat 3,200 calories every day.
So important.
Every day. And it's all
So
fat
important.
and it's all meat. That's
Yep,
all it is.
that's right. And we got to do that. Somebody says, Chase wants to know, what do we think about chicken?
For me personally, I wasn't in the right mindset. And I wasn't sourcing good local chicken, healthy chicken. I was eating chicken out of the grocery store, and chicken out of the grocery store gave me an emotional reaction.
Interesting.
Whenever I would eat chicken, like the next day it was definitely the next day, and it would extend for the next 2 or 3 days, I was irritable. I would snap at my son. I would be frustrated with stuff at work. I was just like, "Argh." And I noticed whenever I didn't eat the chicken that I felt better. And so I just stuck to beef. In a perfect world, I will definitely go back to the farm, and I will definitely go and get some good local sourced chicken. But so far, I'm just happy with the beef I got.
That's interesting. I'll have to pay attention when I eat chicken. I don't eat a lot. I bet since I started carnivore, I bet I haven't made any chicken breast like at all. I don't crave that. I know that I feel better on red meat, maybe with a little bacon and butter, sprinkled in, a little bit of cheese doesn't bother me. But the only thing I do is chicken wings. Maybe once a month I buy a big pack of the big chicken wings. I don't like the ones where they call them party wings and they've already broken them in half for you. They call 20 of those wings when it's really only 10 wings. That drives me crazy. So I buy the big, like, fresh ones from the grocery store, and I air fry them. I like them crispy. And the mustard is new for me. That's just the last few weeks. But before that, the only other kind of condiment that I ever use is just a little bit of hot sauce on my wings. It takes me back to my childhood. I really enjoy that. It doesn't upset my stomach or anything. And so I do that about once a month. I get the big pack and I eat them for 3 days and then they're gone. And then I don't do it again for a month. But I will have to pay attention to see if I notice a difference with my emotions. One thing that I'm sure of is that when I eat chicken, my glucose goes up and my ketones come down. Yeah. Even if I add butter, even if I add, some sort of dressing, or I add blue cheese to them to get the fat up, anytime I eat chicken, my glucose goes up and my ketones come down.
That's me with pork. Time. That's me with
really?
Pork. Yeah. And some people can eat tons of pork and they're fine. Right. I think that everybody's different.
Yeah, that's interesting. And then Emily, Healed by Meat, wants to know, did you say why you tried carnivore and what was your breaking point? You kind of did at the beginning. Do you want to do that for Emily real quick?
Yeah, it was definitely mental illness. And my breaking point was it went into rapid cycling. So for bipolar disorder, sometimes you get a break in your cycles of mania and depression. And mine went into every day. I didn't know who I was going to be. Even I would start out the morning stable, and then I'd have to cancel my whole afternoon because I'd have to go to bed. And I pull the covers over my head, and I was in complete depression. So it got to it became unethical. I needed there to be continuity of care, consistency of care for my clients. And so I was just like, okay, I'm out. I had to stop.
Yeah. And people really believe, they are told that the only way we can fix those mental issues, whatever they are, is by popping a pill. And it's not necessarily the doctor's fault, because they are trained in medical school. What do they get? 18 hours of nutrition training or something in medical school? In 6 or 8 years of medical school, they get literally 15 or 18 hours of nutritional training. And it's the wrong nutritional training. They are trained to find out what's wrong and write a prescription. So it's not really their fault necessarily. But they should be doing research and they should be learning new things. My husband went to the doctor in the spring, and the doctor gave him some advice and then said, and don't forget your fiber gummy before bed. And we were like, well, we're going to have to find a new doctor. That just is absurd. That's absurd to tell an adult that's an adult who is a healthy individual. Don't forget your fiber gummy. That's the most ridiculous thing ever. But they are trained to write a prescription. And so if you had gone to a doctor about your depression, they would not have said, what are you eating? They would have said, here's a prescription.
Yeah. And I was on all the meds. And I was not functioning. I was not stable. They threw everything at me. We tried this for a couple months. We tried that for a couple months. We tried this for years.
Mm-hmm.
nothing. I was not stable until I started eating only animal meat and animal fat.
It's amazing. It's amazing. That's what our brains want. And we have to feed our brains that. And for those of you that don't know, there are higher instances of Alzheimer's and dementia in people with low cholesterol. There is a little bit of evidence too that there are higher instances of cancer with people with low cholesterol. So if you or somebody that you love and care about are taking a cholesterol lowering drug and start to show signs of any other kind of illness, whether it be mental or physical, that is definitely something to look at. Low cholesterol is not a good thing. I mean, every cell in our body needs cholesterol, and our brain needs so much fats to be healthy and happy and remember things. And if we don't give that to it, we get sick.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah. So Janker Brat says, I'm carnivore for 9 months. Chicken and pork don't usually satisfy me. I only eat them for side dishes next to my beef. Yep, we do meat with a side of meat for dinner. Like, as long as I have two things, I'm pretty happy. Sometimes I'll just eat one, but I do like having meat with a side of meat. Which brings me to our next topic for you, is the way you eat your meat. I think some people don't realize that you have had just amazing success. And I did try a piece the other day. I think I probably could do more than I did, but let's talk about that and about how you eat your meat.
Yeah. So I get that this is interesting. You know, I get that people are like, she what? You know, they're confused. But I didn't do this to be like, oh, like I'm this really cool, like carnivore,
Right.
and I eat it raw and I'm like the original carnivore. Like, no,
Yeah. Right.
Not my game at all.
Right.
What I noticed was that I started eating, wanting and craving my steaks more and more rare. To the point that there was one person on social media, the Keto Apocalypse, and he was eating it raw. And it was just like he gave me permission. And I was just like, oh, like I can do this. And for me personally, I don't recommend people eating raw out of the grocery store.
Right.
I would only eat raw from the farm. And if you want, go to emilypenton.com. I have an eat raw meat cheat sheet. You can go get that for free. On emilypenton.com. Or if you're on Instagram here, it's in my link in my bio. But because I think it's important, if you do go raw, to make sure that you do it smart. But I was really, to be honest with you, I was just lazy. And I was like, this way of eating is so easy. Like, I don't have to meal plan. Shopping is easy. What if I don't have to cook it? And so I just tried it one day, and my body had a party. My body was like, yes, like we have been trying to tell you this. And then with the fat, it was a game changer. Really? I was able to eat so much more fat. What I do is I cut it into tiny little pieces, and I put it on parchment paper. I put it in a container, and I put it in the freezer. And so I eat the fat frozen and raw. And it is like dense like cheese. It's like creamy to me. And there are so many different advantages for me personally. I ended up going to a functional doctor. They did my blood work and found out that I was not properly absorbing protein and fat. And I was like, that's all I eat. And so that for me was a little bit more of a hint of why my body was like, just get us to the source. Like, you don't have to cook it. Just get us to the most bioavailable protein and fat that you can. And so I don't think that's necessarily important for everybody else to do. But for me, it was. I had to listen to myself.
Right. Yeah, and I see a lot of people kind of playing around with it, like with the raw beef suet and with people doing the raw liver. And I see some people eating, you know, chunks of the raw beef, like kind of as a snack and stuff. So it's interesting to me. And I did try a piece the other day just to see what I thought of it. I think I prefer it seared on the outside. And it can still be, you know, pretty rare on the inside for me. And I think that's probably my preferred way, with lots of salt and a little bit of butter. Where can you find fat in the supermarket? You'd have to ask the meat department, but you're probably likely to better find it at a local butcher. Wouldn't you say, Emily?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My thing is that if they already have everything prepared and sent to them, that's not your place. But if
Right.
they cut it there on site, then more than likely you're not getting the, the feedlot, stuff.
Right. Yeah.
So I really think that's important.
Okay. And somebody's asking what's wrong with chicken breast. I don't think there's anything wrong with chicken breast, but it doesn't have enough fat for me. I prefer a high fat approach. And you just have to do trial and error. You have to try the different meats and see what makes you feel good. And I think for me, because my glucose goes up and my ketones come down, that chicken breast probably isn't the best thing for me. And I do feel like when I do more of the lean approach, I'm hungrier. And I think that it messes with my head. Like I tried doing like a couple of lean days in a row there for a while where I would do like turkey and chicken. And I think I was sad. Like I do think that I need the higher fat. I think that works a lot better for me. So steak dipped in butter or steak with a side of cold butter and a little bit of butter with each bite, or ground beef that way. That's typically what I do most is the beef with some butter. So there's nothing really wrong with chicken breast. If you eat it and you find that it makes you feel good, then there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. And I think that's also why I veered the way I did with the raw fat, because I knew that I needed more fat. And my digestion just couldn't handle it cooked as much as I needed it. I felt like greasy in my stomach and like heavy. Yeah. Whenever I realized that my body responded better to this, I was like, oh, okay. But the problem is that because of my MS, my multiple sclerosis, I was reacting to casein in butter. So I could never eat butter from the beginning. I could never eat butter. I even reacted to the trace amounts of casein in ghee. So literally beef fat was my only option. I reacted to dairy. I couldn't have cheese. So I wasn't so strict just because I'm so awesome. I was so strict because I was reacting to everything. And I needed the bipolar gone and I needed the MS gone. And so beef and beef fat was the way to go for me. I don't think that everybody needs to model what they do after me. Go to where you're at. You probably don't have MS.
Right. And you were much more restricted when you were unhealthy and eating whatever you wanted versus how restricted you are now. So if, the food is just a part of our day. It's what we do to stay alive. And we have misplaced that information and those feelings in our current lives. And we feel like the food is so important and such a huge part of social gatherings and things like that, that we misplace those feelings of food and being nourished with, we mix them in with socializing too much because everything revolves around food. And it's so easy to feel restricted and out of place when we're in those situations instead of looking within ourselves and thinking about how much better off we are the way we are right now versus the way that we were. And that's hard for some people, really hard. So Dorica wants to know, what's the lab test to know if we're absorbing fat and protein? You had mentioned that you went to the doctor and they did a test.
Yeah.
Do you know what kind of test it was?
No, I do not. I would say go to a functional doctor if that's what you're wanting to do. I do not know. I just know he looked at the labs and he was just like, so it must have been my cholesterol was low and my protein was low, I'm guessing. But no, I'm not well-versed in lab work at all. So I don't know how. That would be a question for Danny Conway.
Yeah, and ask your doctor. Like if you go to the doctor again, ask them that. Tell them that you heard about this test and let them tell you what it is, because it's probably on their form. Another test that is on those forms that many people don't know that you can have done is when you go in, and I know a lot of people say labs don't matter, but if it makes you feel better and you want to see your labs for your cholesterol and stuff, there is a test, and I'm sure you know this, Emily. There is a test that you can do for your cholesterol. We talk about good and bad cholesterol, but the bad cholesterol also has good and bad cholesterol built into it. And there is actually a test for that. You can break down your LDL cholesterol into pattern A and pattern B cholesterol. And that can make you and your doctor feel better. And they won't do that on their own. It's kind of like when you go in for thyroid testing, they only want to do the 3 numbers instead of the 5. It's the same way with your cholesterol. And you just have to ask them to do that. And there are studies that show the difference between the pattern A and pattern B cholesterol and tell you what's good and what's bad. And we did that, and our cholesterol numbers were actually really good, even though the very first number seemed concerning. And so it's really interesting that even doctors, and when we called and asked the doctor to do that, they seemed confused and didn't understand what test we wanted them to do. And it is so important because we need cholesterol. We can't just keep lowering our cholesterol, because the lower it goes, actually, the sicker you might get. Yeah. Okay. If you guys have any more questions for myself or Emily, put them in the little circle down below with the question mark in it. Somebody says it's important to mention, I think, saturated fats to make the difference with non-saturated fats. I'm not really sure what that means.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is a difference between saturated fats and non-saturated fats, but any kind of fat that you're going to get from meat and butter, those are natural, healthy fats versus fats that are found in like seed oils and vegetable oils, which vegetable oils are really seed oils too. And if you ever watched a video on how they make a vegetable oil, you would be totally and thoroughly disgusted and never want to eat it again. It is not good for you. It is not good for your brain. It's not good for your heart. It's not good for the cells of your body. It is basically just sludge. And you don't want that. I mean, they like to blame everything on meat fats and on butter and stuff, but that is not the case at all.
Agreed.
Yeah. Okay, well, if we don't have any more questions, I guess we'll start to wrap it up. I think that I asked you all the things that I wanted to ask. Andrika says, we can't expect to heal in a few months when we damage slowly for years.
Oh, yeah. So true.
So true.
So for 40 years, I ate whatever I wanted.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah. Well, I didn't. I was always on a diet. And I was always on a diet. And this is the first time in my life that I'm not, and I feel better than I've ever felt, both mentally, emotionally, and then also physically. I mean, I feel better than I ever have eating the way that I'm eating now. And I can't imagine that I would ever go back, not even for a day. Now, does that mean I will never eat something? I don't know. I think that's unrealistic. I actually had steak yesterday and found out afterwards that it was that it had some peanut oil on it. And I was so upset. I had no idea when I ate it. And normally I can smell and taste the oil because of that post-COVID issue. That's like, it's become like a protective mechanism for me. And my body knows I can smell it when there's something in it. And I had no idea. And so that was disappointing to me. So I can't say that I will never eat something that I shouldn't eat. Maybe I'd be desperate one day and have a little something, but the way I feel right now, I am never going back. That is something that I'm just, it's just not worth it for me. Those chips or the chips and salsa or the Mexican food or the tacos. And that's always been my, like, that's my arch nemesis is Mexican food.
Yeah.
I will never go into a Mexican restaurant and sit there and eat the way that I used to eat, because it's just not worth it for me. The way I feel right now is just so much better. And I've actually been going through my closet the last few days. And that's actually very emotional. Did you get emotional when you went through your closet and got rid of all of your larger clothes?
No, I'm not a really sentimental, emotional person with things. I was annoyed. I was just really annoyed. And I just wore these like 2X, clothes forever. And then they would just hang off me, and my family would be like, oh my gosh, you're so skinny. And I'm like, no, my clothes just don't fit, And then so I finally went to I think I went to the Goodwill and a resale shop and got, like size
Clothes
4 clothes. And they were like, oh, you look great. I'm like, yeah, I wear clothes that fit me now, that's what it was.
Yeah. And I don't think it's that I'm attached to those clothes. I think Jess and I were talking about it the other day. I don't think it's that I'm attached to them. I think it's just that some of those things I really liked when I bought them, and now I can't wear them. You know what I mean? Like, and then I had lots of like the long cardigans with the pockets. And I know now that that was kind of a cover up.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I was the cardigan queen.
And we're only talking 30 pounds, 20 normally. And then I put on an extra 10. So like I was on average for the last 5 or 6 years, I have needed to lose or been trying to lose like 20 pounds, but then it went up to 30 when I started carnivore. And now I'm down all 30. I've 3 pounds this morning, 3 pounds for my actual goal. And so I started going through where like, I talked to Lily Kane a couple of times and we talked about like minimizing and being like a minimalist. And so we're not going to be minimalist, but we are minimalizing our home a little bit. So we've made about 6 trips to Goodwill. I can't even fit all of the kids in my car right now because it is full of stuff that goes to Goodwill. Trash bag after trash bag after trash bag of just stuff. And I think the reason it's so emotional is because I bought all that stuff. So I'm looking at all this stuff. I bet it took 100 hangers with an item on them out of my closet yesterday and put them on a rack in the hallway to either try to sell or give away. So that part I think is what's so emotional for me, looking at those clothes and knowing that we bought all of that and it feels wasteful now. I mean, I guess that's a main part of it, but also that was the way I dress, the way we dress, the clothes we wear becomes part of our identity. And so I think for years I had this identity with these long flowy shirts with my jeans and stuff. And Jess and I were talking on the phone last night and she mentioned maybe I was mourning, like I'm just having like these emotional moments throughout the day while we're like purging our house and I'm purging my closet. She said, maybe I'm mourning, kind of that's who I was and I'm not that person anymore. It's just kind of hitting me now as I'm going through this process of getting rid of some things. And then I would like try things on and I would stand back and I would say, when am I ever going to wear this? And she was like, why is everything so big for you? Everything is so flowy and long and covering you up. Why is that? She said, you need clothes that fit you. And I said, well, some of these things are just too big for me now, but she's right. Everything was like long and flowy. Like I wore shirts that came down to mid thigh or upper thigh with my jeans. Sometimes I was wearing t-shirts with my jeans or long sleeve shirts with my jeans, but almost everything was like long and flowy. And I know now that was part of my identity as trying to cover up either my disordered eating and my binge eating or the extra weight I was carrying, whatever it was. I think, sometimes how we feel mentally translates into what we look like and how we dress. And I think I was covering myself up. Does that make sense? Not that I feel like I should be wearing skimpy clothing by any means, but just that I think I was covering myself up out of shame almost, even from the binge eating and the always feeling shameful for the way I would eat. And then I would punish myself, by not eating. And so I do think that she had a good point though, that I might be mourning and that I do need some things that actually fit me, and aren't just like long and flowy all the time at this point.
Absolutely. And I found that it feels good. Like it feels almost like a hug. Because I always would buy stuff extra big. And like now I buy like shirts that like actually like fit me.
Right. Like fit you. Yeah. That's what I need is, more stuff like that. Like I'm just wearing a big floppy sweatshirt to do this because it's cold in the basement where I am. But and I want to keep some stuff like that. So I'm about to go up when we get off. I'm going to go up and look through my sweaters and stuff. And then I have like, some sundresses that I never wear that I need to try on and decide, which things to keep. But it's been a very emotional week for me going through my clothes. I want it to be a good thing, but it ends up being very emotional. Going through and because you're changing who you are when you give away those clothes, some of those clothes, I think.
Well, and I'm excited. Like it was a shedding for me. Like I shed my snake skin and I was like, ooh, what do I get next? So it was
I need to look
fun.
like that.
It was fun for me. It was exciting. And it wasn't expensive. Like this was from a resale shop. It was probably like $4. It was, and it was, I didn't look at the money that I wasted. I looked at that I'm recycling and I know that energetically I'm going to get back what I'm giving away. I'm not losing anything. I'm getting it in a different form. And it really was that I went and I dropped off all the trash bags to the Goodwill, to the resale shop. And then I went and got new things. And it felt so good to fill my empty closet with things that fit me, things that I want to wear. And so it was exciting for me. I recognize your mourning and your pain. I'm not trying to minimize that at all.
Yeah, but, I love looking at it like a shedding though. I think you may have just helped me just now. And I looked in my closet this morning and I do think I kept too many like overshirts and jackets still. So I may actually weed through those again a little bit today. But we love to shop at Goodwill. I buy probably more than half of my stuff at Goodwill, but I also feel like I overbuy because it's so cheap.
Yeah.
So like I need to really bring those things home and try them on and decide whether or not I actually think that I will wear them instead of just buying them and bringing them home and then thinking, well, maybe I'll wear that and hanging it up in the closet. I think that's my downfall, is not being sure that I love it. But also 30 pounds is quite a bit, and that changes the shape of your body. And so I have lots of things that I bought in the last 6 or 8 months that I can't wear now because, you know, they don't fit right at this point. And so I should be grateful for that, and I should be glad. But I like the idea of looking at it like shedding. Ruthario says, I'm a young adult who tries to be healthy, but I don't know what to buy at the supermarket. Just buy the meat, eggs, and cheese. That's it.
Stay on the outside. Stay on the outside aisles. There's nothing for you in a box. There really isn't. I mean, I can't think of one thing that's in a box that's there for you. Maybe some canned meat. There might be some there.
Maybe.
But
maybe a little bit.
I would stay away from the middle of the grocery store.
Yeah, and they say, I'm sure you've heard this, people say humans are the only species on Earth smart enough to make their own food and dumb enough to eat it.
Yeah.
And that's true. If it hasn't been around if it wasn't around 100 years ago, don't eat it.
Yep.
Yeah, don't eat it at all. And then, Carnivore Latina, I hate the idea of, I'm emotional about throwing clothes, but I hate the idea of giving it to Salvation Army, for example, and they make money for me. But it's a nonprofit, and so if they need the money, but I get what you're saying. I'm actually going to try to sell some of the like good stuff, like the name brand stuff online, maybe.
Well, and I would look at it as you are investing in your future, because you're not investing in goodwill. You know, you are putting that energy out into the universe, and you're saying, I'm done, I'm releasing, I'm letting go, so that my hands can be open and I can receive what is coming for me. And you can't receive what is coming for you if your hands are full holding on to that hoodie that's a 3X. You know, it doesn't serve you, let go. You have blankets. You can receive something else.
Yeah, I love that. Where do I get fat trimmings and how do I cook it? So you can get them from the grocery store, or you can get them from a local butcher. So just kind of look around in your area. And as we just heard Emily say, as long as they come from local or from a local butcher, you don't even necessarily have to cook them. I cook mine in the air fryer sometimes. And I found an even better way to cook them in my black pearl. And the fat like caramelizes on there.
I want one so bad.
Oh my goodness, you would love it. That black pearl is
this close.
It is so good. I have made 2 beef roasts in it.
I saw
literally the best beef roast I've ever
had.
And
those steaks?
And the steaks, yes. And they got like charred on the bottom, almost like they were on the grill. And I'm really funny about my steak. I I really only like it grilled. I cannot get behind usually a steak cooked inside. I bought one of those electric grills at one point. I did not like it very much. I don't like to cook them in a pan, but I thought I'm going to try them in the black pearl. And they got like crispy on the outside and like just perfect on the inside. They were, the way it was sizzling, I put butter in the pan, so the butter turned into brown butter. Oh my goodness, it was so good. If you guys don't know what we're talking about, go to my page and you'll see the black pearl, and there's information on there on how you can get one. Totally worth it. Totally worth it. It's like cooking on a terracotta pot is what it feels like you're doing, like a pot that you would put a plant in, but it is so amazing.
I'm so excited. I spoke it out into the universe, and I messaged them and I said, just wanted to let you know I'm on my way. Awesome. It's on my list, and I'm coming to buy one. And they were like, great, we can't wait.
That's awesome. Yeah. And he's pretty cool. He seems like a really nice guy, and he's been very helpful, helping us learn how to use it and stuff like that. Yes, the black pearl is made of clay. Yes. It is made by tribes.
It's handmade.
Handmade. They only sell right now 300 a year. He's hoping to get it up to 500. But it's pretty cool. Jess and I are going to do a video next week, and we're going to cook with it live. Yeah, it is so much fun. You can do eggs in it. I've only done scrambled eggs in it, but yesterday Jess made sunny side up eggs in it. And I was like, really? I thought they would stick. And she said, it doesn't stick. And I was like, could you have flipped them for a minute? Because I like mine over easy. And she said, absolutely. She could have flipped them and made them over easy eggs, and it still would have just come right out. So yeah, so I'm still learning too, but it is very cool. It's easy to keep clean. And I don't like to keep appliances out, but I have that baby sitting directly in the middle of my stove. It's just beautiful.
It's
It's just
like, it's
beautiful.
like a conversation piece.
It is. I absolutely, and I would totally make something in it and take it somewhere like for Christmas or
Oh,
Thanksgiving. If I make like a meat and cheese casserole, I'm totally making it in that and taking that as the display and the carrying case for it. But I'm really scared I'm going to break it. So I
I
try to be
know.
really, and I have a ceramic sink and those are very unforgiving. So I'm like, I hold on to it as I set it down really carefully. I'm so afraid that I'm going to break it. But I just love it. So you'll have to let me know if you get it and maybe you can come on and do a cooking video with us or something because I think that you'll really, really like it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's
That's
very cool.
exciting.
Yeah, really cool. Okay, so we don't have any more questions, so I think we'll wrap it up. This was wonderful. This
I
was
love talking
wonderful.
to you. I love
I love
spending time
talking
with
to you.
you.
Absolutely virtual hug. I know
I
one of these
feel
days
it.
I know we're gonna hug in person one day, and I cannot. I'm gonna cry too. I mean,
Mm,
that's gonna be an amazing day. I would love to get together with several of my fellow carnivores and just hug them and love on them for a day and just be together and talk and bond. It's going to be an amazing day when that happens one day.
absolutely. And someone asked, what is my website? It's
No,
emilypenton.com, or just go to the link in my bio.
yep, absolutely. And obviously, you know where to find me because I'm here now. So, but I'm Serena.carnivore here on Instagram and just Serena Music on Facebook. It's the same picture as the one on Instagram. So, and then I have Carnivore Revolution with my friend Jess. So make sure you
Yes.
watch our YouTube videos. We do
So
lots of
good.
cooking videos. Thank you. We do cooking videos and we cook with other people both on Instagram and on YouTube. And we have a lot of fun doing that. So,
Awesome.
okay. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. It was wonderful. We'll do it again sometime.
Please. Yes, we
Okay.
definitely have to.
Okay. Love you. Talk to you soon. Thank
All
you.
right. Love you too. Bye bye.
Okay. Bye.